Introduction. In a remarkable turn of events, President Donald Trump made headlines during his first international appearance since taking office by suggesting that the United States might gain an additional state, Canada. This bold statement, delivered via video link to the prestigious Davos Economic Forum in Switzerland, set the stage for a broader discussion about his administration's approach to international relations, trade policies, and the future of alliances. The implications of such a suggestion are profound, touching on themes of national sovereignty, economic policy, and the evolving landscape of global partnerships. The context of Trump's statement. Trump's remarks at Davos must be situated within the larger context of his presidency and the political climate at the time. Shortly after his inauguration, Trump made it clear that he intended to prioritize American interests in all facets of his administration. His America First policy was designed to reshape the United States' role in the global economy, emphasizing domestic production and employment over international cooperation. By proposing that Canada could somehow become a U.S. state, Trump not only made a controversial suggestion, but also underscored a willingness to challenge traditional notions of sovereignty and international diplomacy. The comment appeared to reflect a broader trend of questioning established norms in international relations, particularly with allies that had historically enjoyed strong, cooperative relationships with the United States. The Davos Economic Forum, a global stage. The Davos Economic Forum is known as a gathering of political leaders, business executives, and influential thinkers from around the world. It serves as a platform for discussing pressing global issues, ranging from economic policies to climate change. Trump's choice to make such a provocative statement at this venue highlights the significance he placed on addressing the international community directly, particularly in the context of trade. During his speech, Trump emphasized a clear message: companies should prioritize building operations within the United States or risk facing punitive tariffs on imports. This assertion aligns with his administration's broader strategy of promoting domestic manufacturing and reducing reliance on foreign goods. By framing his message in this way, Trump sought to rally support from both American businesses and the international community, while also sending a warning to countries that might consider exporting goods to the U.S. The implications for U.S.-Canada relations. Trump's comments about Canada were not merely offhand remarks. They represented a significant shift in the tone of U.S.-Canada relations. Historically, the two nations have enjoyed a close and cooperative partnership, characterized by mutual respect and shared interests. However, Trump's presidency marked a departure from this norm, as he increasingly focused on Canada as a target for his economic policies. The idea of squeezing allies, as predicted by political analysts, became evident in the way Trump approached discussions about trade and tariffs. His administration's willingness to challenge Canada's sovereignty through rhetoric and policy decisions raised concerns about the future of bilateral relations. The potential for tariffs on Canadian goods and the suggestion that Canada could be absorbed into the United States represented a troubling direction for a long-standing partnership. The rhetorical shift. A new tone in diplomacy. Trump's approach to international relations is characterized by a distinct rhetorical style that often eschews diplomatic niceties in favor of blunt, direct communication. This style was on full display during his speech at Davos, where he emphasized his administration's commitment to prioritizing American interests. His framing of trade as a zero-sum game, where one country's gain is inherently another's loss, reflects a dramatic shift from previous administrations that embraced a more collaborative approach to trade relations. The suggestion that Canada could somehow become part of the United States was a striking example of this rhetorical shift. It not only questioned Canada's independence but also implied a transactional view of relationships between nations, one in which loyalty and allegiance could be exchanged for economic benefits. This perspective raised alarms among Canadian officials and citizens alike, who viewed it as a direct challenge to their nation's sovereignty. The economic fallout, tariffs and trade wars. The implications of Trump's statements extended beyond rhetoric, as they were deeply intertwined with his administration's economic policies. The threat of tariffs was a central component of Trump's America First agenda, which sought to protect American industries from foreign competition. By suggesting that companies build in the U.S. or face punitive measures, Trump aimed to create an environment that favored domestic production. However, the potential fallout from these policies was significant. Tariffs can lead to increased prices for consumers, reduced choices in the marketplace, and retaliatory measures from trading partners. In the case of Canada, the imposition of tariffs on Canadian goods could have dire consequences for industries that rely on cross-border trade. The U.S. and Canada share one of the largest bilateral trade relationships in the world, and any disruption in this relationship could have far-reaching economic consequences. ## the response from Canada. Navigating a new reality. In the wake of Trump's comments, Canadian officials were quick to respond. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and other leaders emphasized the importance of maintaining a strong and independent Canada. Trudeau's government has long championed the values of cooperation, mutual respect, and shared interests with the United States. Trump's rhetoric posed a challenge to these principles and required a thoughtful response. Canadian officials sought to reassure their citizens and businesses that they would not be intimidated by Trump's aggressive stance. They emphasized the importance of protecting Canadian sovereignty and standing firm in negotiations with the U.S. The Canadian approach focused on maintaining open lines of communication, while also preparing for potential economic fallout from the imposition of tariffs or other protective measures. ## the role of public perception and media. Public perception played a critical role in shaping the response to Trump's comments. The media coverage of his remarks at Davos was extensive, with commentators and analysts weighing in on the implications for U.S.-Canada relations. The framing of Trump's suggestion as an affront to Canadian sovereignty resonated with many Canadians, who viewed it as a threat to their identity and independence. Moreover, social media amplified the conversation, allowing citizens to voice their opinions and concerns. The rapid dissemination of information and opinions through digital platforms created an environment where public sentiment could influence political discourse. Canadian consumers, businesses, and politicians were quick to articulate their concerns about Trump's rhetoric and the potential for economic repercussions. ## the long-term impact on international relations. The long-term impact of Trump's presidency on international relations is still unfolding. His approach to trade and diplomacy has raised questions about the future of traditional alliances and partnerships. The suggestion that Canada could become a U.S. state exemplifies a departure from established diplomatic norms and a shift toward a more transactional view of international relations. As countries navigate the complexities of global trade and diplomacy, the lessons learned from Trump's presidency will likely shape future interactions. The importance of maintaining respect for national sovereignty, fostering open communication, and promoting mutually beneficial relationships will be critical in rebuilding trust among allies. ## conclusion. In summary, President Donald Trump's suggestion during his speech at the Davos Economic Forum that the U.S. could gain an additional state, Canada, serves as a striking example of the changing dynamics of international relations under his administration. His rhetoric, characterized by a focus on American interests and a willingness to challenge traditional norms, has significant implications for U.S.-Canada relations and the future of global diplomacy. The response from Canadian officials and the broader public highlights the importance of safeguarding national sovereignty and maintaining a cooperative approach to international relations. As countries grapple with the complexities of trade policies and the shifting landscape of global partnerships, the lessons learned from this period will be crucial in shaping a more collaborative and respectful future. In an era marked by uncertainty and change, it is imperative for nations to work together to address shared challenges while respecting each other's sovereignty and interests. The foundation for a more stable and prosperous future lies in fostering open dialogue, promoting mutual understanding, and building strong, resilient relationships among nations.